Welcome back, and we are moving into our first segment for today, and actually our second in a series of introductory interviews with the mayoral candidates from across the country. We are having today on set with us the PUP mayoral candidate running for Dangriga and also one of his councillors. We do want to take the opportunity to say at this time that in the interest of balancing the interviews, we had, in fact, invited the United Democratic Party to participate. They had accepted, and we proceeded with the schedule. Unfortunately, a week ago, they decided not to participate. But we are continuing with our commitment to have our viewers become aware of the different mayoral candidates from across the country. So with that said, we'll get started with our conversation this morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
And thank you for taking the time for being here. So let's start off by just having a very basic introduction to our viewers as to who you are and what prompted you to venture into electoral politics.
Good morning, Dangriga. Good morning, Belize. Thank you for inviting me to this interview. My name is Derrick Velasquez. I'm from Dangriga, and I'm running for the municipal office of being the mayor of Dangriga. I got into this race because I saw the many difficulties that Dangriga is facing. And I heard from our people that they need a champion to bridge the difference between the function of a town council, the role of the party, and the role of government in improving their lives. And we looked around, there obviously wasn't anybody else, and so I stepped into this race.
And for you, Erica?
Good morning, Belize. Well, for me, I decided to get into politics because I believe that women need more representation, and I offered myself also. I see myself as a selfless individual. I've been volunteering in the community, and I've also volunteered a lot when it comes to issues in politics. For me, it doesn't matter if we have members of the United Democratic Party or the People's United Party running the country. I also volunteer with both parties, so I believe that the qualities that I have enables me to actually do better in serving my community.
Now, Dangriga is a very active political district. We had a by-election, then we had municipal elections, and if you look at the trend, Dangrigans tend to be very picky in terms of if you're not performing, you're out. What specific qualities do you think you bring to the table that allow you to be delivering on the things that you just identified that are needed in Dangriga?
Well, looking at the issues that we're facing, Dangriga needs employment, infrastructure development, help, and with education. They're looking for someone who's willing to negotiate, for someone who's able to press the party, in this case, the People's United Party, and for someone who is willing to go to the national government and tell them, look, Dangriga needs your assistance. And we're also willing, in my case, to go outside to the international world and ask for assistance to assist my people. Besides all that, I go to Dangrigans to see how we could help. Talk to us, let us know. And that is what is lacking in this, the present administration. After the election, they're nowhere to be found. You may find the mayor as a fixture on the street, but with us, with PUP 7, the Bring Back the Love team, we go to people and see what they need in their community.
As an educator, I've been in contact with parents, I've been in contact with young people, and volunteering in the community, I've seen a lot of things, and sometimes it's just strange that people see you around volunteering and they would come with their complaints to you. And as I walk around, I would see several things that, you know, make me think as an individual, how can we better serve people? And as I've said before, I see myself as a selfless individual. I serve, and because I'm serving people, one of the mantra of the People's United Party is service above self, and I believe that I can be a true reflection of that.
So your platform is Bring Back the Love?
Bring Back the Love, yes.
Okay. So tell us where specifically you want to focus, if you are elected into office, where you would want to focus your efforts.
We are working with our people. We are working for our people. Our government is responsive to the needs of our people. We invest in our people, we invest in the infrastructure of the nation. If you do not invest in your people, then you fail as a country. Then we are being a part of the nation of Belize, and the population has been neglected. Have you been to Dangriga recently? Take a walk down there, and you'll see that we need the type of representation that our team is going to present, my team is going to present, so that Dangriga could come up to par with Corozal, with Orijuak, with Belize City, and PG, and Cayo.
So it's a people focus.
Yes, it's a people-centered.
But Dangriga faces a lot of challenges in terms of employment. I know that's one of the huge problems down there. Yeah. And not to say that if you're elected, you take on the burden of central government or the private sector, but I mean, isn't employment one of the things that really tug at your heart with the people campaign at your...
Across the board it is, but we will work with the private sector to bring employment into the community. We will work with the citizens to see that when they're ready to have a plan, we will assist them in developing that plan. We will be prepared to work with other town councils, other mayors, with people who make things work, like the people in Orijuak, so that we could bring the assistance that Dangriga need when it comes to employment. We are prepared to go regionally to invite people in to Dangriga. We have a strong Oriental base, the Chinese, who go to Dangriga and they flourish. And, you know, where these people get the money from? You could see over time that they do not go there as millionaires, but they leave as millionaires. So who's making them millionaires? So you see that it's the people at Dangriga. So why not invest in those tiny millionaires in Dangriga to make Dangriga a booming economy in Belize?
Now, I want to talk about the strength of your slate. You know, one of the things that I think we don't speak about very often in politics is what someone is bringing to the table other than the willingness to offer themselves. Yeah. When this PUP7 got together, did you assess your own strengths as to what you feel you can be able to positively contribute if you're elected as a team? And tell me about what those strengths are.
In my case, it is my willingness to serve my community. We passed that, and also the determination to make things happen. I have a clear vision of what Dangriga should be, which is quite different from what it is now. My councilor to the right, she's an educator. She works with youth and will be involved in youth development, and she will speak more on her platform. We have Councilor Caballero, who's also an educator. She's the principal of Gulisi High School. Okay. And then Frankie Palazzo, he's also a teacher there at Gulisi, and he's involved in forming young minds, you know, building a community, providing an intellectual base for our community. We work on our people, we work on the community itself. And you have Liberato Teul. He's a businessman. He provides, you know, lumber, building material. So we're building. We have Cynthia Ramos. She's a retired nurse. There's some care involved there, making people heal. The community needs that as well. Look at the trauma of being unemployed for a long time, waiting for that next dollar to fall from somewhere. We need help with that. We need that embrace. And then you have Debbie Jones, Councilor Jones. She's also a small business person who provide poultry product for the residents in Dangriga. So put together, we bring a team of leaders and people who are willing to go beyond just the ordinary 8 to 5 thing to make things happen in Nigeria.
You seem very excited about this slate. I mean, I would think, you know, because you don't really have a hand at picking, okay, well, I want to run with Miss Jang, or I want to run with Marlene, or I want to run with
the community, after, during the convention, decided that these are the people we want to represent us. Because they see certain quality. You know, when we started campaigning, for instance, they said, wait a minute, this is something new. We were going from house to house to house, shaking hands, hugging people, you know, nursing their babies, you know, sharing their lives with them. You know.
Bringing back the love.
Bringing back the love.
But let's talk some of the challenges that you can foresee. And I think one of the first ones is being able to finance your work at the council. Most municipal bodies have a particular learning curve and take different approaches as to how they will find the finances they need to be able to follow through with all the commitments that they have made to the persons who elected them. Now, if you are elected in March, you will be working with a UDP central government. Talk to us about what you have already decided will be your strategies as to how you will find the finances you need. What's your plan?
I think we are prepared to work with our representative, and we're willing to negotiate. We're also willing to press the party for support, People's United Party, and we're going to go to the private sector to let them know that we need them to have a strong council. We are also going to be willing to work with mayors around the country, and then we go regional. We go to different parts of, but Venezuela, for instance, helps out occasionally. We have Mexico on the side here. We have Guatemala not too far away, Salvador, regionally. And to supplement that, we go international. We go to the US, we go to Canada, we go to the UK. We have, and more importantly, we go to the people to say, look, motivate them to assist, to pay the taxes, to provide some of the things that we need to make this thing work for Dangriga.
You have a blueprint, though. I mean, Mayor Suazo was a very vocal mayor, and he served under a national government that was not his party. Do you have internal support from persons like Mayor Suazo? From we had in Dangriga, we had a by-election. There's a lot of political activity going on there. Do you have a united front in terms of being able to deal with some of those challenges that you will have coming up against central government?
Yeah, Dangriga is behind us, and Suazo lives in Dangriga. Therefore, to choose him specifically, he is supporting us. There are people who have made things work in Dangriga. We're talking with these people, whether they belong to the People's United Party or the United Democratic Party. People in Dangriga want to see Dangriga different from where it is now. They want to see a better Dangriga. And that is where I go, along with my team, to talk with these people. Show us what you did to make things different in the past. And there are people there willing to say, okay, good, sit down. Get your pen and paper, start writing, you know. And a month ago, we went to Orange to talk with Mayor Kevin Bernard. And he said the same thing. You know, we see what's going on in Dangriga. We see what you're doing there with the campaign. And this is where you could get your help.
Yeah. For example, one of the serious situations, an issue that we have in Dangriga right now is the flooding. For example, when it rained a couple days ago, the entire Mayoral community was flooded. It was underwater. It was submerged, and we took time and we went out and we visited the area. We looked at the drainage system that was there. We looked at the different outlets, and we actually visited an individual who has already pledged his support. That individual, he actually pointed out certain areas to us that have not been used, and they're not being used. And if we get to those places and we're able to reroute water, or we're able to lift the land so that the area that's flooded be drained, we can definitely make progress. We'll be building on success then.
Yeah, right. We build that. That will be building on success indeed. The drainage problem, since the council brought it up, is take a look at where this water is coming from. You have a choice. You divert the water before it gets to you, or you raise the land. I grew up with that type of mentality back when I was a little boy. My mother would say, you know, go to the beach and get some sand. We grew up in a situation where we used to call it top gallon, where seasonally the water would raise in Dangriga without the showers. So how do you deal with it? You don't exactly need an engineer for that. You just need a little common sense. But there are already drains in place that if they were to be clean, then the water would find a way out. Nature really helped us. That is, you control the water before it gets to you.
Yeah.
And the other alternative is to raise the land. Well, we don't exactly need to raise Dangriga. We just need to divert the water, you see. And we'll take a look at that. And that would signal for the Dangriga and the rest of Belize that, you know, we should try what's going on over there.
Ms. Jang spoke about the Wagirale.
Wagirale.
You see, I'm getting a blank.
It means our homeland.
Yes, the Wagirale area. But Dangriga is expanding. Good gosh. I mean, people in Belize City would think about Dangriga like the way we think about Key Corkans and Bedge of just
the main street.
Right.
But Dangriga is exploding. Exploding. I mean, how do you deal with the new areas? Because as you expand, it's a financial expansion as well. And if there are challenges that you're currently facing with the current area, to deal with the new areas, the Bakatong area, I think is another one of them.
We have Lakeland,
New site,
and
that is as far as I can go.
Yeah, we could talk about Rivers Estate, first and second site. 3 miles is open. We went all the way back there.
Where's 3 miles? That is.
Well, 3 miles up.
3 miles.
Oh, it's 3 miles up. Is it?
Well, you know, it's still a good question to ask. Sometimes it doesn't always match.
Right. So we walk all the way back there in mud, in water, and people are saying we need. There are people back there who don't have any electricity. There are people. We need to expand the grid. In some of the unincorporated area, they call them low priority area. I don't know where that comes from.
Where that came from?
Yeah, exactly.
Low priority.
We found it, yes, that's you know.
I don't want to live there. That's a very bad area to live in.
And but we have people living in, especially in the Grab area. I took the party leader back there, 3 weeks ago, and he saw what's going on. So there you could see that this party cares, and I would press our party to get involved in the development of our people, in providing the things that only what government can do for people. That is our role, to provide for people and to do for people what they cannot do for themselves. You see.
You obviously spoken about being out on the campaign trail and meeting people, and I really want to hear from you what you are hearing in the field. What are some of the issues and the needs that the residents of Dangriga are telling you, listen, if we give you our vote, these are the things that have to be addressed?
Unemployment.
Unemployment.
That's one.
What else?
Infrastructure development.
Land.
Land.
Right.
They want land.
Crime is not an issue down there.
Well, recently we had a murder. Well, they say it's a murder. A body was found somewhere. Petty theft, as expected in a marginalized community. People have to. I want to tell, and I told my constituent that we will deal with crime. We have a strong relationship with law enforcement officers. I visit with them occasionally to see what's going on. We talk about places where we could post that's addressing the issue of crime. post neighborhood outposts with the police. There's also the issue of health. I walk the hospital occasionally to see how the staff is doing, because they care for these people. And then there's the issue of shortage of medicine, like during the pink eye epidemic. We had to call the secretariat in the Caribbean to get some pink eye medication. Well, the help didn't get here. By the time we got a response, the epidemic was already gone.
So you hear of all these different issues, and realistically, you will have to prioritize what you can and should address first.
I think one of the things that we are looking at is actually the role of the town council. We need to actually start by separating roles. What's the role of the town council? What's the role of the area representative? What's the role of the party? And I'm sure that if we're able to establish that, then we'll be better able to serve our community and look at what's the priority that we need to take.
You know, one of the things is that one of the things about Dangriga is that it's probably the only municipality, to my mind, that has a different expectation in terms of there's a cultural expectation as well. You host one of the national holidays, 19th of November, and that brings a ton of commercial and other activities. How much does that factor into your plans to monetize, to actually maximize that one? And two, is there a cultural expectation which is different that you're coming in with to transform the tourism aspect of it of Dangriga?
Yeah, one of our council candidates, Mr. Tawil, he's a Maya. Councilor Jang, I'm sorry, Councilor Jones, she's a Creole. So we have, and of course, us Garinago. So the ethnic thing brings a flavor to Dangriga. Naturally, we would like to invite the country and the world to participate in this blend, culturally, this cultural blend. We have the drums from the Garifuna people, we have the marimba from the Maya. And at some point during our administration, we will have an expo. Not to match the 19th, I don't think that anything could match the 19th right now, but to complement. You know, this is what Belize is about, and you will find it here in Dangriga. One of the, on our trail, when we went to Rinjuak, we met with the president of the Free Zone, and he told us that he'd be able to help us bring an international pageant to Dangriga when we win. We think that Dangriga has the capacity to host. You know, put the potholes aside, but the people, they will bring a flavor to the world.
Is there not a pier somewhere down there that was supposed to be built, and is that something that you guys would take on that would bring some economic activity?
Yeah, it's the port of entry. We're not talking about the jetty pier. Jetty pier is a ping pong with both parties, but the jetty pier, it needs to be repaired. And if you ask me, it needs to be replaced. And so we will lobby with governments and agencies to see how we could replace that. We want to stretch it all the way out to support the type of activity that would bring economic development to Dangriga.
Well, we have about 5 minutes left in the conversation, so you are aware of. But one of the things I wanted to look at, we have gotten reports, obviously, of conflicts in the campaigns in other parts of the country. And we know how tested this time can be. You know, emotions are high. People are very, very loyal to political parties, whether they're on the campaign trail or not. I want to ask you, and this is specifically for you as mayor, and even as councilor, you can weigh in. If you're faced with a mixed council, what do you feel will be your strategy in terms of ensuring that you are still effective in the work that you do and not allow the partisan politics of it to stalemate any kind of work?
You bring to attention to everybody what the goal is. Our goal is to win this election. And when we get there, our goal is to make things happen for Dangriga. If there's any difference in our campaign, I consider it to be minor. If there is, it's maybe somebody roll their eyes at somebody. It's not significant. It is not sufficient to say the campaign is falling apart. We are in good shape. PUP 7 in Dangriga is in good shape, and but let's move away from our campaign and look at the debacle that face the other party. The Prime Minister was in town. The Deputy Party was in town for a manifesto rollout. And guess what? Nobody showed up. Now that's a problem. That's a problem for them. That's a problem for the nation. And it's a referendum on where Dangriga is, and it's also a referendum on where the country is.
But going back to my point, if you were elected as mayor and you do have UDP councillors on your slate, do you feel that you have the political maturity to work with the team to ensure that no matter what party no longer plays a role, Dangriga comes first? And the same on the opposite, if you are elected as under a UDP mayor.
I told some of the UDP councillors when we meet, we go to their homes and I said, look, this has nothing to do with color. This has nothing to do with party. Dangriga need to produce the best to create the best for Dangriga. And since you're involved in this process, I am inviting you to participate in running this town if it turns out the way some people want it to be.
That's an interesting indicator. If you're saying that there was a manifesto launch, the Prime Minister of Belize showed up.
Yes.
And the attendance was the Deputy or the Prime Minister?
Both.
And the attendance was?
There was hardly anybody there.
Because there is, you guys are, in my opinion, the underdogs.
Yeah.
Why do I say that? When you look at the numbers from the by-elections and the general elections, there's a margin of maybe about 700 votes.
Yeah.
I don't know how much the mood in Dangriga has changed. I don't know what the approach of your team is in terms of overcoming that. And in fact, interestingly enough, there seems to have been a jump. We're talking about political fatigue and the expectation that maybe because there have been so many elections that the voters are fatigued, tired of politics. Yeah. But in Dangriga, you're looking at almost 70% voter turnout in the by-elections.
Right. See, with us, Dangriga, both PUP and UDP, they're walking on the same bad streets. Both UDP and PUP, they are unemployed. Both PUP and UDP, everybody in Dangriga are taking a beating. And they're looking at the setup. They're looking at a UDP mayor, Tom Councilor, a UDP area representative, and a UDP administration. Just like how we look at it. You say, we're talking about a Tom Council, we're talking about the government, and we're talking about national leadership. And it just can't work. It is just not working for Dangriga. Here comes in PUP 7. We distinguish the role of the Town Council, the role of the party, and the role of the government in making things happen for Dangriga and the rest of the country. And Dangriga is willing and ready to send a message to the country. Look, we want something different. And this team, as you pointed out, is different. And we will be the next Town Council come March 7th.
I believe what we did different was actually enter the homes and the lives of the voters of Dangriga. We started campaigning about a month after we had the convention. Yeah. Mr. Derrick went first, because after he got elected, he went door to door, all the way from Bengosha to 3 miles. And we used that same concept as councillors as well. We walked the streets. We went to the homes of individuals, and that was when we heard their cries. We saw the conditions, and based on the first questions you asked, I believe that after we've seen it all, I don't believe that anyone enters the political arena for personal benefits. That's the way I see it. when you go in there to serve the people. So even if there's a mixed council, we must remember that the first thing that we need to do is to look at the community and not ourselves.
One of my favorite questions, though, is, isn't there anything that you see that the current town council is doing that you can look at and say, you know what, that's not bad. So
we'll keep it going.
Yeah, let me keep that going. Let me change this just a little, put that just a little, and
I've seen some effort, but we want to make it better. You see, stones do talk, and we look at the stones and we listen to the stones, and we tell the stones, well, you know, we'll make things better. There is just a serious lack of commitment on this town council to solve the problems facing our people, and that's where we come in. We're in there for the humanity of it, to serve our people, and my team is committed to making that happen.
You have anything to add?
I'm just, he actually said a mouthful a while ago. Commitment to the people is very, very important. I can't reemphasize that a lot of times. And our council, our councillors that we have, I'm proud to say that we have 4 women.
Yes.
wow.
And because of that, I keep on boasting, and I believe that with the strengths of the 4 women being able to run our homes, and I believe that whatever challenges come, we'll be able to face it. There are things that I've seen the previous, the current town council doing, for example, recognizing women. I think it's a beautiful thing. I'm all for women power, and I believe that the current councillor who's doing that, she's doing an exceptional job, making sure that women be seen, be heard, be represented. However, as what we want to do this time is we're going to be consistent, make sure that whatever we do now is rather better than what is existing. So we're not taking it out, we're adding
to it.
It takes a lot of political maturity to look at something that's there, and this, I think, is a really refreshing thing for voters, not only in Dangriga. If I could ask this question too, this opportunity to be an open eyes this morning, lots of the people who are looking at this program this morning are probably in the region. They can't vote for you. Why do you think this was an opportunity that you took up and it was important to take up, and you have actually utilized it? What is the importance of this morning?
I want the rest of the nation to know that we are holding our fort in Dangriga. What happens in Dangriga is going to affect the rest of the country. And if we have people, our team, being the champion, the people in Dangriga, the rest of the country will say, well, wait a minute, let's see what's going on. In Greece, there was an interview that I had with the councilors of LA, councilor of Belize in LA, and I told him I intend to get involved in service to my community that will have a national effect. And when I retired in August, I came home and I took a look at what's going on and said, okay, good, this is it. I was given an opening. The people of Dangriga says, we need this. And we look at the rest of the country of Belize, and they are also saying, we need this. We need this change. Bring back the love to our country and to our community.
All right. Well, we are out of time, and we want to say thank you for coming in this morning and traveling from Dangriga. Of course, one of the things we know is that we love our Dangriga viewers. They're especially faithful to us and all our programming here on Channel 5.
Thank you.
And so I think it is important and our responsibility that all our viewers have the opportunity to be able to meet the different persons who want to lead them. So thank you for taking the opportunity.
And thank you for inviting us.
We're going to go ahead and take a break, and when we come back, we'll be talking to the National Aging Council. That's coming up after the break.